And what is it looking like out there? First day that I finally decide I'm going to do some filming, and this is what I see in sunny Grantham. Oak. You'll see more of that at a later stage. That's all wired, and those buds won't come out for a while, so I'm not too worried about the oaks for now. I don't think we've got much bud swell on there. So it's just a case of looking for the wire. I've got this little monster here, which you'll see, one of my very, very original failures, but might get that all wired out. Junipers, we'll talk about them later. Again, silver birch, Yamadori. Need to watch the wire, but I think we're going to see some bud swell coming soon there, so we'll watch those. But the main one is to watch out for are the larches. As soon as those buds start to green up, see which ones are going to live, then I've got to do some pruning on those, but I can certainly identify the repots. That one got repotted last year, so she's fine. Do love, if you look at the blueberries on the juniper, I don't know if you're going to be able to pick it up. I should use the other camera for this, but I don't know what to do. These are the Satsuki Azalea cuttings. I think I'll probably just leave them and go for another year, to be honest. Into the first of the back beds. You'll see, oh gosh, we've definitely got a little bit of swelling coming. I think on the silver birches, maybe. Ginkgo. I've got another week or two there. Doesn't need to be repotted, so it's just about doing the buds. Nice big dawn redwood there. That's swelling up a bit now. It's another ginkgo. But looking at this larch, definitely see some swelling on those buds. And unfortunately, I've got loads of larches, and this is the time of the year when you need to do the all the pruning work for them. So that's going to be the first order. I'll have to get them all sorted out on the benches. The small leaf lime, linden. We've got some bud swell coming there. And in this one, I've decided that I'm going to take an air layer just about there. So I'm not going to do too much work on it. I'm more concentrating on the air layer. Just watch out for the wire scarring and just let it continue to build strength. And as we hit the lower level, we've got a whole host more of ash, and they all got repotted last year, so that's just about some pruning. Looking down here, we're starting to get some of the field grown stock that I took 2 or 3 years ago. Some field elm, some field maple, some larches, hornbeams, copper beech. No repots needed there. A lot of those got repotted last year. I'll wait and see what happens with this massive juniper monster. I'm really looking to do some work on this field grown hornbeam. I think it's a hornbeam. I mean, the pot's far too big for it, but I think there's some nice shape there. At some point through the spring, I'm going to rewire this holly. Probably can't see it that well. Cloud larch. Might do a little bit of light pruning, but again, this year it's all about it sending out shoots. I've got the basic structure in place for it. I think that's gonna go into a nice little pot. I think all these larches were purchased in 2016, so they've had 5 years in pots, and it's time to decide which are going to be bonsais. I want to dig all these elms up, and with the root structure I know they're going to have, I'm going to try and do some roots on rock. So that should be interesting to see. And again, there's some more of those larches. I have to work on all of those. And then there's some Italian alder. I got those as saplings, 2-year-old saplings in 2017, I think. They had time to come out and see what we make out of those. It is a little backyard nursery, and it is not a massive yard, but it does get packed with trees. This was last year's growing bed for Scots pine, hornbeam and larches. I've decided to dig it up, and instead it's become the new home for this little baby trident maple that's got the ugliest swelling. Hopefully turn that into a nice sort of 6-foot feeder tree for air layers and cuttings. We shall see. Another one of my benches that's got to be stocked up. Nothing much there. Again, a lot of these got repotted last year, but more larch work, so there's going to be more to do there. These are the sort of oaks that I dug up a few years ago. There's work to do, but I think they're going to be lovely. And again, there's work to do. There's junipers, little white pine. That was one I got from Pennells a couple of years ago. More larches. I think there's a quince in there. A couple more trident maples here. I think it's time to put them back in pots. The only reason they went into those is because they got a bit ill a couple of years ago. In there I've got a lot of root on rock trident maples that I did last year. I don't know if the rock is. I'll probably remove some topsoil, probably an inch or so, just to start hardening off the upper part of the root, and leave the rest to go this year and just let loads of growth come from it to strengthen and grow roots. All these are from cuttings. Same here, Fuji cherries. I think a couple of those are. I think I put that on a root on rock. Box cutting. So I'll look at those and make decisions whether I'm going to individually pot them out and see what happens. There's another Italian alder, big ginkgo there. In fact, it's a couple of ginkgos. But before I take you in there, there's the greenhouse. I think I'm going to safely assume that if we're going to get frost, it's not going to be for another few weeks now. So I'm going to clear out a lot of these. Certainly get all the Chinese elms out on the benches. There's a few smaller stuff, certainly red oaks, that I need to do some repot work on. So that's one of the jobs for today. Again, they're all cuttings. They're beautiful. It'll come to me what it is. So I've got a beautiful little Mame bonsai, or Maine bonsai. I Maine bonsai, whether they're actually called Maine bonsai, I don't know. I love hearing people's different pronunciations. Potentilla over there. I've got a load of, well, I say a load, I've got 4 or 5 Japanese quince. I wired them all up last year, and we're getting some swells and stuff, and I think I might pot 1 or 2 of them. I'm not sure, but I've got to decide that. This monster, this is just somewhere I put a load of Chinese elm cuttings, and they've just, oh my goodness. I mean, there's rocks and all sorts there. I was thinking about keeping it as a big planting, but that pot, I need that pot for something else, I think. But we'll see. Thankfully, all the Japanese maples and stuff that I got as 1-year seedlings in 2014, they all got wired up and pruned last year. So I just need to make sure they're clean and then put them over in the beds at the top of the garden. But the main work again, well over hundreds of Chinese elm cuttings, 1 to 2 years old. They need to be looked at and decide what's going to be separated. I might wire a few. Again, we've got some Yamadori work that's been in for a couple of years. A couple over there, they're definitely ready to come out and go into pots. Got that beautiful Fuji cherry. That was a 6-foot bush 5 years ago. Yeah. And then there's, well, you can see loads of stuff to have. So there's a lot of stuff in the nursery that's going to feature over the next 6-7 weeks. I think that's a silver birch. Hang on, or was it Italian? Oh, I can never tell. It could be Italian alder actually. And then these were the Scots pines, larches that were dug up in November and have been put into these eco-friendly washing up tubs. £1 a shot. There's some interesting stuff. There's a larch there that, gosh, that one there was bought in 2001, 1-year-old sapling. I've never known what to do with it, but it's still there. Yeah. There's the work area. Very small workbench. Vermiculite. Some kitty litter without the poo. A little bit of straightforward compost mix from the garden centre, and then I'll use some grit. And with that, I will normally make up my bonsai mix. More Japanese maples. As I say, they're five years old now, and I think they're about the right age. I can put them in little pots. I love doing little marmay stuff. I'll do it again. Is it Maine marmay? Someone tell me. Juniper, that needs wiring out again. Crab apples and apples, and I love them. There's some beautiful shapes amongst them, and I've wired some out along with some silver birches, but the biggest problem with them is that woolly mealy bug that goes with them. Absolutely. Ugh. We've got some field maple as well, but I've been wiring, so I'll have to watch the wire and get the wire off. Silver birch. Here's an interesting apple. Crab apple. Yeah. Anyway, that's the nursery. I'm going to separate everything up, get them into work areas, and with this weather, there's no way around it. It's got to empty out that polytunnel, the greenhouse, and start seeing the work to go. But if anything's going by last year, I've got 6-7 weeks now of 8-9 hour days. So hopefully I can make some sort of helpful content from this, and if not, well. Yeah, I don't think these nursery beds really lasted in the end. 2.5, 3 years. Thought that might happen. Hopefully, loads of roots in there, and I should be able to get that on a rock. We'll see what happens, but I'll leave that for now. What we're basically doing now is, because cats are so garden friendly and they never ever poo in their own gardens, I have to clean up whatever poo they've done in my garden, because my garden is very cat friendly. They love pooing in this. That's where I store all my spiders and cobwebby things. But no, if I can open up that area over there, it's going to be fantastic. This has all been wired up, but it was dug up 4 years ago. It's been in this for 2 years. So it needs repot. Same with this one. Love that. That was the Amadori larch dug up in Wales. Got it in 2015 along with about 15 others. This silver birch bought as a 1-year whip in 2016. And this is what happens when you just plant something in the garden and just let it go. So that was dug up last November, so it'll stay as it is, but hopefully that's got some potential in the future. Got a Dawn Redwood with a rock, and the reason why I've done the rock is because of the bend, so it hides that. It's also got poor roots, but look from the top, getting a nice spread on it. Swapping to the little portable camera because it's getting a bit gloomy. My barometer said there was 75% chance of rain, but they're some of the ones that are going to be repotted probably tomorrow. A lot of wire on them. This is the flowering stuff. I've got to find there's a couple more Fuji cherries, but I'll also try and do them tomorrow as well. Clump ginkgo. That's the camera that I've got. It's a Lumix 330. They call them bridge cameras. It's brilliant because it has the capability for the screen to flip around. I can also use the Panasonic app on my phone to stop and start, although I haven't worked out how to do it because I'm old and crumbly and my brain doesn't work. But yeah, I'm very excited about that, and knowing me, I'll drop and break it very quickly. I do hope not though. Yeah, but I also primarily got it because I wanted to get some macro photos for close-up shots rather than always having to zoom in with this. Some of the pictures you can get on the on a proper camera are just incredible. But that's all for the future, and it's getting very dark here, so I'll leave you for a bit. The rain has definitely beaten me, but I've hopefully leveled that off a little bit. I'll tamp it down tomorrow, next day, and then get some grass seed. That's the first day of my bonsai season officially started. The only thing I do is put reminders on my my database to remind me about the wire that needs to be checked on some of them. And of course that's the other thing, is updating the database. But you'll learn about that database more on. It's been the best tool that my daughter's ever made for me. Really, really good. Does sales, invoices, reminders, bring up, you name it, can do it. Can do tree histories for sales. Absolutely fantastic. I don't use it anywhere near as much as I should. It's going to about throw it down in a minute. But these things will stay there now for this year. I can keep an eye on them, and I'll have fun weeding in between them. As I say, the elms will come up in the next day or two, but I can probably leave them a bit longer. I need to get those repots